Hey everyone, Tony Winston here, Jazz Piano College. I'm going to run through this sheet of Berklee College of Music formulas for tensions, and tensions are the ninths, 11ths, and 13ths, and those notes will be on the top of the chord. And we got a whole list of them here, so I'm going to demonstrate each one of these chords. Most of them will be in 2-5-1s. I'll play the chord first, and then I'll put it into a 2-5-1. So we're going to start off here at the top of the page with the major sixth chord, and the voicing is... All right, we got a major sixth with a 9 on it. So we could call it a 6-9 chord too. Many times it's written that way. So here's the voicing, and here is the formula, the 2-5-1. Now, when I do the 2-5-1s, I'll try to use some of the other tensions that are on the list, but the one to concentrate here is going to be the last chord. So, okay. Now our next chord has the sharp 11 on top. Okay. And it might resolve something like that, but it might not resolve. Now, the next one is so similar, it just has the third down here. So, okay. Moving down the list, we've got minor sevenths next. And this will be the first chord in a 2-5-1. So there we have the ninth on top. And there's our major sixth chord with the ninth on top. Once again. Minor 7 with 11 on top. Minor 7 with the 13 on top. And we could use this at the end of a 2-5-1 too. Let's see how that would work. This chord might not be the best to use as a 2 chord, because once you move to the 5, you see you've got the same 2 notes up here on top. When we go to F7, I mean, of course we could change it a little bit. And then it works better. All right, major sevenths with the 9 on top. With the 11 on top. And with the 13, same formula, just replace the top note. We're going to get to the dominant sevenths, and you see all the tensions are listed here. And with each chord type, with major 6, with major 7, with minor sevenths, you see there's less formulas because there's only certain tensions that are available. Like, for instance, the minor 7. You could say, okay, there's a minor 7 with a 9. What about the sharp 9? Well, it's just the minor third of the chord, so it's not really a tension, and it can't be used as a tension, and it's not an available tension. And the same with the 11 here. You say, well, where's the sharp 11? We've got 1, 5, 7, 3, and 11. It's just too dissonant sounding to be included in this list of chord formulas. Now, that's not to say you can't use a chord like this, but it creates quite a lot of tension. And, if you're trying to write, say, a pretty ballad or something, I would not use that chord. All right, so the dominant seventh chord, all the tensions are available. And that's why dominant seventh chords are so fun to play around with, because there's just an infinite number of ways to play around with the formulas and the chord voicings. So the first one we've got is the flat 9. And there it is, root 7, 3, 7, and flat 9. And I got to point out, too, that these chord formulas are good by themselves, but they're also good starting points. Like, for instance, we have 2 7s here, so maybe we put that 13 in and create another kind of a chord. Maybe a flat 13 would be nice. There's all kinds of possibilities, but it's good to have these basic voicings under your fingers. So there's our dominant chord, and I'll do a 2, 5, 1 in the key of F. Okay, let's use the regular 9. Okay, so the dominant chord, of course, is the middle chord. We're starting with G minor 11th, then our formula for the dominant chord with the 9th on top, and then an F major 7th. All right, let's try that sharp 9. We'll stay in the key of F. Now for the 11th. The 11th is kind of a be careful, because it's a suspended chord. It's like a G with an F over it. So let's give it a try. Sharp 11th is a whole different story. Just functions as a basic dominant chord once again, not a suspension. And this is interesting because there's 2 things here, a sharp 11 and a flat 5. And to tell you the truth, I've never really been able to distinguish the difference between these 2 chords, really. Okay, and now I'll use the 3rd in the bass, so that'll give me the flat 5. And I guess it's kind of like, if you have a C chord, say you have a C major chord, and you got the 9th on top. Well, you can call it the 2nd, because there's no 7th. But once you put the 7th in, then you have to call this a 9. Even if you put it there, even if you put it here, you have to call it a 9. So I guess with this sharp 11 or flat 5 chord, it kind of depends. If there's already a 5, you call it the sharp 11. If there is no 5, then you can call it a flat 5. And this is really getting picky, and I really don't think it much matters which one you do. They almost sound identical. All right, so here we go, 2, 5, 1, or the other one. All right, you can't tell the difference, can you? Maybe a tiny bit. All right, here's a real common chord we could use to start off Prelude to a Kiss. So there I used it as the 2 chord, and I could use it as a 5 chord, and then come down here and use it as the 1 chord. All right, so I could use the chord 3 times in a row. There's like a Frank Sinatra song that goes, right, uses that chord, and then uses the same formula down here for a G7. That's like an E altered and an A altered. And then we call this unaltered because the tension is a 13. It's not altered. It's not a flat 13. the 13. All right, now this is an altered dominant, and we see not only is the 13 been flatted, but also the 9 has been flatted. It is possible to use a regular 9 and the flat 13. However, it's a legal chord, but if you're going to F next, you got the same 2 notes up on top, so it doesn't have much harmonic motion. It would sound better if it was like that and moving, you see. It's a be careful, and it's not on the list. All right, now our flat 13, we've got the flat 9, then the 3. And look, it's like a little minor triad, a half step above the root. So just play the root in the 7th, play a C sharp minor chord, and you've got it. Okay, we've covered all the dominant chords. Minor 6, okay, a real common one, of course, is, it's kind of like the James Bond chord. Minor 6, minor major 7th, they sound nice. And let's have a smoother voicing here. So let's start with a minor 7, flat 5 with a flat 9. Let me look at the formula for that. Yeah, okay. All right, so I used 3 different formulas that time. I used the minor 7, flat 5, and we'll get to that one in a minute. And we've got the root, the 5th, the flat 3, the flat 7, and the flat 9. And then I used the dominant chord with a flat 13, and here's our minor 6 with the 9. All right, and I'll bet you the minor major 7th is the same thing, just with that note, okay? And then the other one is with the 11th on top, okay? Not a chord I use very much, but let's give it a try. Yeah, it kind of sounds unresolved a little bit, but it's cool. All right, minor 7, flat 5. Of course, that is this type of chord, and we're going to be playing the root and the flat 5 in every single voicing here. So the first one is with the flat 9. All right, I know you think it sounds bad. Another one that could sound bad, but we're going to make them all sound good. One with the 11, with the flat 13, and with the 13. All right, let's give all these things a try. So I'll use them in minor 2-5-1s, and the formula will be the first chord. So first one here with the flat 9. All right, once again. And let's go with the regular 9 now. And now we're going to go with the 11. Right, keeping the same note on top. We don't have to do that. And let's try the flat 13. And with the regular 13. And this one is particularly harsh, but I love it. If I could play it. Yeah. I would not advise practicing this one through the cycle when there's people around. Do it in private. Okay, let's give it a try here. So. All right, minor major 7ths. and with the 11 on top. You won't use that one every day, but it's a nice sound. Let's see. With the 11 on top. It's kind of like the minor 6 with the 11 on top. It's not common, but it's certainly usable. You know, you might resolve it. Okay, augmented sevenths. All right, now a lot of the time, an augmented seventh chord ends up being an altered dominant. But in theory, the augmented chord comes from the whole tone scale. So only those notes are going to be available for an augmented seventh chord. 3. I can just hear it starting off a song, you know, like. And you see, it sounds nice there. Could you put in some notes that are not in the whole tone scale? Let's see. You know, not really. I mean, you can't add the 13 and the flat 13 at the same time to any chord. And once you have a 9, you can't put the flat 9 or the sharp 9, though those two can be used together in a chord. But here, since we have a 9, we can't use either one of those. And we could put the sharp 11 in, just part of the scale. The regular 11 doesn't seem to work. So, you know, it seems like a good chord for an augmented chord. If you've got like a dominant chord and it says augmented, it's got the 9th in it, you got to stick to stuff that's in the whole tone scale. All right, kind of like the Beatles song, Oh Darling. Okay, let's see what the other one is here. So now we've got the augmented note in the left hand. All right, so let's see, what can we do? All right, not a chord I use up very often, but all right. Now, down here, diminished chords. It says no tensions available, but really there are 4 tensions available. In any diminished chord, you can go a whole step above any chord tone. So a whole step above D flat is there. A whole step above E is there. And let me show you how to do this. So we'll use this kind of progression. We're going to start on C. We're going to go up to a diminished chord like this. See, I've got it spaced out here. I've got the E up here, then the G, then the B flat. And I'm going to add a note to the top, or I could even just change it like that. So. All right, or just moving up like this. All right, some other ways to do it. Let's say we're on this chord. So we start here on C major, we go to the diminished, and we're going to take that top note and move it up like this. So we've got this now. See, I can do it again too. All right, let's see. Moving our chord a little bit higher. Let's see, we've gone above the E. We went above the G here. Let's try to go above the B flat. All right, and I'm going to go a whole step above that. So. No. All right, so I'm trying to use these things all twice. And let's go a step above the root. So the diminished chord will be root 7, 3, 5, root. And, you know, I call this a 7 because it's a double flatted 7th. That's what it really is. It looks like a 6th, but that's diminished theory for you. Okay, and I'm going to go a half step above. So that's going to be my chord. And then, can I do it here? Yeah, so it works pretty nice. But they're also good starting points for developing your own voicings. Especially with the diminished chord, because you can add not just the one tension, a whole step above a chord tone, you can add all 4 of them if you want to, and actually, you know, create like a second diminished chord up on top of the first one, and that is a legal chord. So, I mean, we could start with C, do this and go to D minor, and then up here we'd be playing something like, all right, now those are pretty closed voicings, but there's lots of ways to kind of get some good sounds going here. I'm going to use the diminished, let's see, I'll do this, this and that, and then I'll add 2 tensions, all right, 2 whole tone extensions, they call these, right? Because I've got the A, which is a whole step above that note, and the C, which is a whole step above that note. All right, and then let's see if I can do this one here. Yikes. Yeah, there it is. When you start using these tension formulas to develop your own voicings, you will never run out of new ideas. There are literally millions of combinations. Some of them are going to sound better than others, and of course it always depends on, you know, where it comes in the song. You know, what kind of emotional feeling do you want at that particular moment? Maybe the lyrics suggest something to you, that you need a darker chord or a brighter chord, a happier chord, a sadder chord. Anyway, it would make me happy to hit that like button, subscribe, and I do appreciate all the support that I've been getting. Venmo, PayPal, Patreon. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy practicing.